Hi everybody, welcome to another helpful video on how to do something from Groves Prof. This one is about the basics of Twitter and the Twitter interface and how to use it. So I'm just going to walk you through some of the basic screens and what you're looking at when you create a Twitter account. This is assuming that you've set up the account and followed a few people, and that way you can start to see what you're looking at. When you log in, you get your home screen, and this gives you the feed. Much like you might see on Facebook, everybody that you're friends with, you see all the things that they're posting. That's the same thing that's going on here. You're basically seeing all of the people you follow and anything that they posted, and it's in a timeline. So it goes from most recent on back, and you can go back as far as you like. Um, you also get some statistics about yourself here. You get the number of tweets you've done since you created your account, how many people you're following, and how many people are following you. What you'll notice on the Twitter screen is everything is clickable. And you notice, see how I get the red? I can click on that. I can click on my followers, and that will tell me who my followers are. I can go through all different kinds of things. But even in the tweets themselves, you get different links. So I can connect to find out more about this particular person. People embed links in their tweets of here's something interesting that I read. Um, I get a summary of the tweet. If they've embedded a link, I can expand it and look at it. Similarly with a photo, I can do the same sorts of things. So there's lots of things to click on. The one that is most hidden to me that isn't always obvious is the timestamp. And this is useful because there may be instances where you want to link directly to a tweet. When you click on that number, it takes you to a screen that's exactly what that tweet is. And if you look up on the URL, that gives you the actual tweet number, so you can track that down. That's sometimes useful if you want to find that. If you click on individual names, say you're really interested in the Christian Science Monitor, you can click on that, and this tells you whether or not you're following them or whether they follow you. Those are useful. Um, the second screen that you're going to look at is notifications, and this is when things happen to your account. So did somebody follow you? So in this case, Drew's Men's Soccer started following me. It looks when people favorite your tweet. What a favorite is when you'll notice this little function down here of the different things you can do. A favorite is twofold. It can be used, some people use it as a like button, like you would on Facebook. Some people just use it to bookmark something. So you want to be careful that you're not reading too much into it. Retweeting is a way of sharing something with your followers. In Twitter, when you use that, it's what's called an automatic retweet. And basically what that will do, you'll notice this one has been retweeted by Andy Carvin. I follow Andy Carvin. I do not follow this Wedaddy, but because I follow him, I get all of his retweets. Some people find that frustrating because sometimes you may follow somebody who retweets a lot. So you want to keep that in mind of people you're choosing to follow. On the main screen also, I forgot to note, this is where you can write your tweets. And you can add images, you can add your location, and then once it also has a character count because all of your tweets need to be 140 characters or less. And then you can hit the tweet button. On the notification screens, it also tells you anytime someone has either replied to you or they've mentioned you in a tweet. So I'll show you the difference between those. So in this case, my friend Carrie Brown Smith has mentioned me in a tweet because she found this link from me and she mentioned me by name. And that's a way of giving me credit on Twitter. A lot of people will do that as a way to build their networks and say, hey, you know, I've been following you and you provided me some information that's really useful. Up here, what Nigel is doing here is he actually sent me a message because I tweeted something, it prompted a response in him, and he responded back to me. These are all important, these notifications, because it's a way that your audience is interacting with you. And like I said, they mean different things. The fact that Nigel took the the extent to actually send me a message and get a response, that took some it took some energy on his part to send me that. So that says a lot that, oh, that must have been a really good tweet because he engaged with it. And if you look at that tweet, a number of other people did too. 4 people favorited it, or 4 accounts. 1 person retweeted it, and I got a response out of it. So that's something useful when you're thinking about your audience, about what tweets might be useful to them. So that's the home screen. That's our notification screen. There's the discovery screen, which helps you explore Twitter a bit. I don't use this a lot. Some people may use it more. I actually find it easier to find people on Twitter using Google. I just put their name. So if I want to say Jonathan Groves on Twitter, it's a lot easier. I feel like that's easier to find me. So I'll go on Twitter. I'll get my search, and then I get all these different versions of Jonathan Groves on Twitter, and it makes it a little bit easier to find. So that's just a trick I like. The Me screen is what you look like to other people. And why I want to highlight this to you, I don't use this screen a lot unless I'm trying to find a tweet that I put out that I wanted to remember. So I can scroll back through and see what was what. The other reason why this is important is you can, when people are deciding whom to follow, they will look at the profile screen and they will make a decision very quickly. So that's why what you say in your profile here is critical. And you have 160 characters to sum yourself up. And what I would say is most of us have a niche or an angle or a particular persona on Twitter. Some people do everything on their Twitter account. I prefer to have separate accounts for separate constituencies. So this is my professional account. It's focused on media stuff. It's focused on journalism stuff. It's the way I prefer to use it. I hate to say that there's any one right way to use Twitter because it's malleable. You can use it in the way that makes sense to you. I'm just showing you how I use it. I've been using it since 2009 and experimented with a lot of different ways to use it. So this is what I've found that works for me. The direct messages is up in your bar, your menu bar. I don't use that a lot except for quick messages if I'm meeting up with somebody or something along those lines. It's not super secure. I would not be transmitting super private information. The other reason why is it's really easy to make a mistake with that and end up sending a tweet to your followers instead of sending a direct message. I've seen it happen. A friend of mine, she put her cell phone number out for everyone to see because she thought she was sending a direct message. So just be careful with that. The cog is the settings. The settings has a number of different functions. As you have a bunch of followers, it gets hard to, or you follow a bunch of people, sometimes it gets hard to make sense of the fire hose. Lists can help you organize that information. Twitter ads is useful even if you're not going to do ads. Once you get up to a certain level of followers, you get an access to Twitter's built-in analytics tools. And this can be very useful as long as it loads. It looks like Twitter ads is not working properly, but this is the roadmap to your analytics. And you can look at your tweet activity and see how people are engaging with your tweets. So you get an estimated, over the last month, I've gotten 28,000 impressions from various people, and then I can see which ones got the most engagement. So I can scroll down and say, oh, this one had 19 engagements, 9.5%. Maybe there was something about this that connected with people more. What was it about that? Okay. You'll notice since you have 140 characters, links can sometimes be a problem. One of the things that I would recommend you using is a link shortener. Twitter does have a built-in link shortener. I prefer to use my own. I use Bitly, but there's all different kinds. And the benefit of this is that allows you to track your engagement with them. Are people clicking on them, and who are the people that are clicking on them? So the way you use one of these is you create an account. Say I find something interesting on the Emmys. I want to shorten this link. I can copy my link, paste it into Bitly, and it gives me a nice little short link, and I can copy this link and paste it into my tweet. Voila. And then anytime somebody clicks on that, I'll get some details about it. It'll be tracked, and I can find out some information. So that's very useful. If you're not using Twitter's mobile app, I highly recommend it. If you're new to Twitter, it really doesn't make a lot of sense until you start using it on your phone. And that's when you see the real value of Twitter, of how quickly you can consume content and how easy it is to update on the road using the app. So I recommend doing that for posting and consuming information. The last thing I want to show you is that Twitter has what's called, what a lot of the new services do, an open API. And what that is it's an interface that allows third parties to connect and create apps. So there's a company that created an app called TweetDeck that actually has a better interface for managing your tweets. Twitter thought it was so good that Twitter actually bought them. So it's now part of Twitter, and you get to it by typing in tweetdeck.twitter.com. And this is very useful. You'll notice it has a very similar interface, but notice how it updates in real time. Instead of giving me a number, the tweets come flowing down the page. The most useful function of this, to me, is you can add your lists in their own columns, and you can schedule tweets. And that's very useful. What you want to do is time out your tweets throughout the day rather than doing a block of tweets at a certain time. Twitter doesn't let you schedule them natively. You need to do that here. So that's one of the things that I would recommend. Some people also like to use for managing their social media is Hootsuite is also another one, and some people like this because it integrates with Google and Facebook, so they can use this as their social media management dashboard. So those are just a couple of options to think about for your Twitter account. I hope that kind of gives you an overview of making sense of the Twitter interface. The main thing is to get in there and play around with it and just find what works for you. Don't let somebody guilt you into say this is the way that you should do Twitter, because there's no one right way to do Twitter. You have to do what works for your workflow and what works for your audience. So that'll end this this helpful video. I hope it was helpful, and if there are we'll be doing more of these in the future, so I will see you later. Thanks a lot.